It turned out that I'd actually coughed a bruise on my ribs, lower ribs, and it hurts like hell. Okay, hello, welcome to another Kofi update. I had a bad couple of weeks actually. I've been quite sick. You know, having a 3-year-old, they bring all kinds of shit back from kindergarten. But suddenly, like, my lower ribs started hurting like hell. So I had to go to the doctor, and it turned out that I'd actually coughed a bruise on my ribs, lower ribs, and it hurts like hell. But it's much better now, and it hasn't prevented me from working that much, but it's like my mood has been really terrible. But anyways, let's get into some freelancing. So at Code Sandbox, we are going to release Overmind today, like flip everyone over. Super excited about that because that now we can refactor all the rest. And we're moving to a TypeScript code base, which means that it's going to be so much safer to make changes, refactoring and everything, because Code Sandbox with its scale has been hurt by this, not having typing. So that's super cool. I also created a concept for models. There was a requirement related to some side effect, specifically VS Code needs to trigger a model inside Code Sandbox, but you want to close it inside Code Sandbox, but then VS Code should know that it's closed and get a response based on closing it. So I created this models concept and I shared it with everyone else. I created a video and I got some feedback on it. So we actually made a better concept by sharing this stuff, and hopefully it was valuable to other people as well. Even though if they don't use Overmind, it's just the concept of models is very interesting and surprisingly complex. We also have a lot of internal state discussions in Code Sandbox related to like what should be in Overmind, what should be local and stuff. What I really like about having TypeScript now is that we can play around with more stuff. We can try different state management solutions, we can refactor, we can do pretty much what we want and feel confident that we're not breaking the app. I also wrote up this document, rewrite state, which shows you a list of what we're planning to do with the refactor. Like, this is not features and stuff. This is just cleaning up the code inside Code Sandbox, which will make it more fun for us to work with the code base, but also ensure that we can scale up with even more features. So that's cool. The other startup I'm working for, we're releasing the app next week, so I can show it to you then. A funny thing there is that I got some feedback from the designer. He wanted me to change some shadows. And he gave me, of course, box shadows with like CSS box shadows with their values. And what's really cool about Flutter, I talk about Flutter a lot, but the amazing thing is that, first of all, it's called box shadow inside Flutter. It has the same properties as CSS. And even the freaking values I got from the designer, which is based on how it looks on the web, looks exactly the same in Flutter. So you can have a web designer just freely design your native app by using Flutter. You can just use CSS values. It's freaking awesome. I also hope that I would have finished my personal app, my personal project, but I haven't. I have a small thing I want to do, which probably just takes a couple of hours, but I don't find the time for it. So hopefully next time I can show that off and also having it released. Cool. Let's move on to open source. So in open source, I actually, in my last video, I was talking about this Flutter SVG project that didn't support the output of Framer X because it uses HSL colors and also it uses the value transparent for fill colors. But I actually fixed it in the project and made a PR, and it's actually released already. So that was really cool. And my first contribution to a Dart or a Flutter project. I also got into this, like I have to figure out something. I was playing around with Immer from Michel, the guy behind Mobex. And I was thinking like, okay, they use that in reducers. Could we push that to further out to the edge of the app? Like where you do the dispatching in Redux, like in Thunks, and kind of like remove the concept of reducers altogether. And I figured out a way to do that. And not like this is how you should do things. It was more of an experiment. And then things started, I added typing, I added some other stuff, and then it kind of became a library, but its intention is for this article. So I encourage you to read it because it really generally talks about state management, boilerplating, and also I show a lot of the internal code, so you will learn a lot about proxies as well. What was super fun about this is that I got a lot of feedback on it. I never had so many likes on Twitter, which is bad because I get addicted to Twitter. So now I'm back being addicted to Twitter. It's not good. But anyways, I'm really glad it was like educational for people, because it was certainly for me. And also I got feedback that got back into the project, and also people fixed all my typos and stuff. So it felt like this was a good thing to share for everyone. Yes, I have a bug fix for Cerebral related to hot reloading and the dev tools. I haven't found time to fix it yet, but I will. And the same is actually for Overmind. There are some bugs which is actually already fixed in Overmind, but I want to fix some other things as well before I create a release there. Cool, let's look into tools and inspiration. So as I said, I've been working with Immer. Immer is a really awesome project because conceptually it merges the world of impurity, like mutation, with the pure world, immutability, in a very interesting way. And that opened up my whole experiment and the article. So I encourage you to check that out if you don't know what it is. It's not Redux specific. You can use it for other things as well. I also got into this little discussion with the creator of HyperApp. HyperApp is also super awesome. They have kind of like nailed the simplification of how you just build an app. But I try to convey thoughts on where it becomes problematic to use it in terms of sharing state across components, persisting state, across mounting and unmounting views and stuff. But it was really difficult to do that on Twitter, of course. But I plan to make a video on this, just generally this concept of, I call it application bound or view bound state. And how that affects developer experience, but also user experience. I think it will be really interesting because I'm not talking specifically about any tools, it's just conceptually. So I will find time to do that. And during that discussion, we also talked about Elm, which I've been looking into previously. I actually wrote a few articles on it. Elm and HyperApp is awesome. Like if you just want to get going building an app, it's super, super awesome. It's just that they hurt from this props passing thing that I hate as a developer, where you have to pass props down many views, like even through unrelated views, you have to pass props down. And I really, really hate that. So yeah, that's one of my points. Well, maybe I should say this for the video. Anyways, I guess that's it. Thanks for checking out the Ko-fi updates, and I hope they have some value. And I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks again. Bye bye.